17, our next speaker finished his Competent Communicator Manual, but he forgot to tell us. So everyone stand up and let's give him a round of applause. Lately, he's been in a funk and not doing manual speeches. Today, that changes. Performing his speech from the Advanced Communication Manual, in particular, he will be providing a storytelling speech that tells a story of historical times with a funk. His goal is to make it through the speech without using notes and provide an alternative way of telling a story. Presenting his speech, Economy to Da Hill, please welcome Kenny Dayhill.
Imagine the time, the peace of mind, because the economy grew so big. Our money invested kept growing and would never stop, until finally it would hit the rock bottom. Rock bottom. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Today I want to give you a speech with a twist, so listen to this. A story about a crisis so big it changes to this day. This is the tale of the Great Depression. Because in 1929, with our money backed by gold, the 1920s never had an economy in the lull. But the peak in the market was in August, in the 20s, roaring 20s at al fresco. Unfortunately, coming October, we had no more money to show. On October 24th, a record 12.9 million shares were traded in one day. Overpriced stocks were sold en masse. October 29th, now known as Black Tuesday, a new record, 16 million shares were traded in one day. That is what caused the stock market crash. The world went into a panic because we all believed in gold. See, the standard of gold, we were all told and made to believe that the banks were full of cash. Yet the days of the crash and the mad dash to get your cash, you left with nothing in your bags. And when loans were called due, but with no cash to follow through, what are you supposed to do in a situation like this? The world economy took a twist. In all seriousness, the banks will never forgive. But the man in charge, President Hoover, he said this would be over if you just let the crisis run its course. But 15 million people looking for work? I don't know how this can get much worse. Dry skies, desert dirt, our world of hurt just got that much worse. Welcome to the times of the Dust Bowl. See, in the South, we had a drought that killed the food we put in our mouth. And when the sales of ag started to sag, it was sad that mom and dad had nothing to give. But to live and earn was no longer your concern. It was just as simple as how to live. Starvation was real because there were no more meals, and unfortunately not all would live. But see, the American peoples, we wanted change in the mind, so we elected a guy who would make it a crime. Now the banks had to keep cash, and today, that's known as the FDA Act. Still FDA Act today. But this guy, he shut down the banks for 4 days. He literally called it a bank holiday. And that was on FDR's inauguration day. He stated, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. First time in years we had calm. First time in years we had hope. Because here was a man with a plan, with the nation listening by his side. We all turned into the radio for the fireside chats. He told us his plan. Go down and build dams and power plants deep in the valley of Tennessee. And I promise you, this is how the New Deal is going to fix our economy. So we started getting busy. The world was getting crazy. So we kept on getting more until we finally had made it back. In 1937, the U.S. economy was bigger than it had ever been. And then the banks reacted, causing another wave of panic. And just like that, the economy crashed. But the world was still struggling. People were chanting Mein Kampf. So they went into mass production, attacking countries with no protection. And that is how Germany got out of their own recession. But we stayed neutral when we went into production to help the war of nations, causing inflation of work, building up our labor force, and it was for a key territory that pushed us into this war. We went into World War II. The men were pulled off from production and sent to the battle lines. And at this time, our laborers had no more crews. So who did we call? Yet Rosie's and her crew. No mansplaining for them needed. The irony of the situation was who created the motivation. People credit the wrong administration, but understand for good cause. If it wasn't for the quest of world domination, the United Nations could still be recessed. For it was Adolf Hitler who single-handedly corrected the world's economy. But when the world was through, everybody came back with nothing to do. But for the first time since 1929, our economy had stabilized. And for us, it gave us some peace of mind. Mr. Toastmaster.